Hi, this is Kerry Artak with Wicked Stocks, bringing you your Mag 7 update, your weekly Mag 7 update. I did record this video for the week of Monday, March 9th, 2026, and I like to start with Microsoft. Microsoft has been testing the last 5 or 6 weeks a significant long-term support level. This channel bottom spans some 4 or 5 years at 396.24. We've yet to close below it by a 1% margin on a weekly basis. We did close above it by a hair a couple of weeks ago, and obviously now we've sprung back. So this is still an opportunity to buy Microsoft at a pretty good price at 396.24. And this upper resistance area, this channel top that we tested as recently in July and October of 25 remains in play. I don't know if we're going to see a rally like this. This was a 3 or 4 month rally, but I think this could be more like a 1.5 year, 18-month rally back into the upper 500 area and climbing, so long as we do not close below 396.24 by a full 1% margin. On to Meta. Meta threw off a bit of a sell signal last week. We've been breaking this channel bottom for the last few weeks, not closing below it until last week. 459.41 last week. Now, I do like the upper 450s, low 460s as a resistance area, and I can actually jump to that chart right now. You've got the low of the high and the high of the low from 3 weeks ago. They all come together. The highest point is 663.34. That is the high of the low from 3 weeks ago. If we were to close above 663.34, we've got several buy signals that should, within several weeks, 3 to 5 at the most, yield 716.50. And I do think we could make our way all the way into the 780s, 790s within several months. After all of this fuss, closing above 663.34 is likely the beginning of a 2 to 3 month rally into the 780s, 790s. But if you would rather wait to anticipate the 780s, 790s only unless we close above 716.50, I have no problem with that either. If you're a 2 to 3, 3 to 5 week swing trader, buying a settlement above 63.34, expecting 716.50, taking profits at 716.50, buying again above 716.50, anticipating the 780s, 790s, etc., etc. Let's go back to the downside here. Closing below 659.41 is a sell signal, but it's by a hair. I would rather wait for a settlement now below the 628.14 lows that were put out a few weeks ago. Just know that we are weak below 659.41, and I think sell signal quality with a settlement below 628.14, expecting over the next few weeks, 3 to 5 weeks, 577.71. Now, this channel bottom spans just about a year of activity and can absorb selling not only through the second quarter, but even into later 26. So this is what I would call investment grade support at 577.71. This is an area to buy into Meta through the rest of the year, and I would expect it within 3 to 5 weeks of closing below 628.14. On to Alphabet. Alphabet threw up a big sell signal back the week of February 2nd when it put out a key reversal high. That is a significant sell signal on any weekly chart, all-time high, closing back below the previous week's low. And then it was about a week, a week later, we settled below this rising channel bottom. And that's when I sort of climbed on board to playing the short side in Alphabet. I do still think 234.02 is in play over the next, I'm just going to say 3 to 5 months. And that remains in effect so long as we are unable to get back above this rising channel bottom and newly formed descending channel top based in part on last week's low. 318.44 to 320.32, solid zone to sell into if given the opportunity, below which 234.02 remains a 3 to 5 month target. On the way down, we do, of course, have the 296.12 low that was put out back in December. We did not close below it. I think if you need yet another sign of weakness, another sign of anticipating 234.02, that could be a settlement below 296.12. And that is really, then I think we can just continue falling as we move through April, May, June. Within 2 or 3 months, we just might see 234.12. Upside, if we close back above 320.32, that shrugs off the sell signal and does then indicate a 3 to 5 week rally to 349.04. And this is that high area from, about 6 weeks ago, a double top potential here. And then we'll just continue watching this as we move through time. Amazon. Amazon, it's had a few signals. The first and foremost, back here in February, we closed below this rising channel bottom. And at the time, I'd indicated a 181.17 as an objective with a pivot point at this descending channel bottom that is now at 200.74. So we did then close below that channel bottom, but right back above it. And it was the settlement back above this channel bottom at 200.74 I'd mentioned allows for recovery back into the 230s. That becomes clearly indicated if we then also close above the high of the low. So I'm catching us up on Amazon. So last week's settlement above 211.17 does indicate 233.70. Over the next, this could be within 2 or 3 weeks, could take a little longer, but I do see 230.77 as likely over the next few weeks, above 211.17. And inversely, if we close below 200.74, we're back to anticipating 181.17. So if you're a 3 to 5 week swing trader, long above 211.17, expecting the 230s, short below 200.74, expecting the low 180s. This 181.17 formation spans about a year and can contain selling not only through the second quarter, but possibly through the entire year. Investment grade support here at 181.17 for Amazon if given the opportunity to buy it. But we are expecting the 230s now above 211.17. 233.77 is really part of a range that begins or ends, I should say, at 238.82. You also have this newly formed descending channel top. It will be this descending channel top that I will see as your key sellable resistance as we move into April. This can contain buying on a monthly, possibly quarterly basis, and we could fall away from here. If we close above 238.82 and dropping weekly in the coming weeks, that is a signal that we're no longer expecting or even allowing for the 180s as described earlier, but rather a continued progressive gains as we move into later year. This 278.87 formation rising into the 290s as we move into June, anticipated with a settlement above 238.82. I'm kind of forecasting here right now, but until then, the 230s, solid resistance. If you're long above 211.17, take your profits in the 230s. And if you like the 1 to 2 month, 2 to 3 month swing trade, play the short side. Once we're in the 230s, we can fall back into the 180s from there within 2 or 3 months of testing the 230s. On to Apple. Now, we cover Apple every single week with an extended 10-minute video, and it gives a short-term, near-term, mid-term, and long-term price points. We break this chart down, but this is broad brushstroke. I don't want to give too much away because paid subscribers also get the same exact information, but on a much deeper level. 287.90 is a long-term 5-year channel top that we've tested several times now over the last 18 months, and having tested it, you must allow for the 190s and climbing over the next full year or so. So we are overall bearish a longer term below 287.90. 214.82 is a 5/8 downside Fibonacci from the April low against the December high, and it is in reach over the next 2 or 3 months, can contain selling on a monthly, possibly quarterly basis, and if settled below, should then yield what I consider to be a long-term objective below 287.90. Inversely, if we were to close above 287.90 in the coming weeks, then we enter kind of a new normal for Apple, where I would expect continued progressive gains as we move through 26 into 27 within a year or two of doing so. This full channel extension at 387.62 and climbing would be expected. On to Tesla. Now, you're probably already aware that we put out Tesla analysis every single day in our daily Tesla report on the same Wicked Stocks YouTube channel. You found the Mag 7 update that you're presently watching. You should know then that we are in a sell signal. I'm going to call this a near to mid-term sell signal below 421.20, expecting 326.57, where profits can be taken on a short trade, and also a long entry assumed into later year. We can round up from here nicely, possibly for the year itself. Now, we do have, and I forgot to put this in here, this descending channel top. I'm going to go to the yellow. You look at the yellow here. You got 434.21. You see channel 2.2. That is our upward pivot point into the second quarter. So it is a sellable resistance between 421.20 and 434.21. I'm going to put that in there right now. that can contain buying through the I'm going to say through April into May and below, which over that time frame we should fall to this 326.57. If we can close above 434.21, not only expecting within 3 to 5 weeks 473.82, but within a couple of months, 2-3 months, we can push into the low 500 zone. 536.46 long-term resistance, able to contain annual highs. On to NVIDIA. Now, NVIDIA is also like Apple. Actually, we put out NVIDIA every single day like we do the daily Triple Q and the daily SPY report at wickedstocks.com. You may remember the daily NVIDIA report on our Wicked Stocks free channel. We've then moved it over to the paid side. So I don't want to get too deep on NVIDIA because like other, the SPY and the Triple Q, we break it down in about a 5 to 10 minute video where we go through the day trade, 3 to 5 day, 3 to 5 week swing trade. But this is broad brush stroke, big picture analysis, bottom picking the 173.77 unless we settle below it, and selling 195.38 unless we settle above it. We could trade inside this low 170s and mid 190s for the next 3 to 5 weeks, as we have for the last 3 to 5 weeks. If we close below 173.77, expect bearish continuation within 2 to 3 months to the 134.90 long-term channel bottom, where we can bottom out at NVIDIA through the rest of the year. Inversely, closing above 195.38 signals upward continuation. It really is, and I can draw it right here, this channel top that is around 218 and change would be expected within 3 to 5 weeks or so of closing above 195.38. Check out, go to wickedstocks.com and take advantage of that 2-week trial, and you'll see your daily NVIDIA report for 2 consecutive weeks. Palantir is not part of the Mag 7. But we get a lot of requests for it, so this is kind of where I finish up. We had a sell signal back in January, late January, when we closed below the steeply rising channel bottom that actually held in November, and that anticipated this mid-120s descending channel bottom and this high that was put out back in February 25 of 125.41. They have converged now into a narrow range, bottom picking the zone we've been mentioning in anticipation of possible upward rotation into the 180s, 190s. I'll get to that in a moment. Last week's settlement above the high of the low told me that we're no longer going to continue bottom picking this zone or have the opportunity to do so. We should now, above 145.87, push into, let me actually jump to that chart right now. Holding above 145.87, I'm expecting actually this descending channel top. This is a range, 179.64 to 191.28 on an intra-week basis, can capture buying pressures, as we move into April, May. We could fall away from here. But, if we close above this descending channel top at 179.64, that is a significant buy signal event. I can actually just jump to the chart right now because I know exactly what I would look for as an objective. Let me go ahead and mess around with this. If you want to stick around, you can see that I would no longer anticipate this channel, but rather would expect, with a settlement above 179.64, this upper area here at 231.10. And that would be the objective if we were to close in the coming weeks above 179.64, expecting 231.10 and climbing. But right now, we're only anticipating 179.64 as a 3 to 5 week target above 145.87. It's considered a 2 to 3 month target anyway, roughly speaking, following the continued testing of this mid to upper 120s support. I think that pretty much does it. I just hit 15 minutes. Please click like, share, subscribe. Check out wickedstocks.com. Take advantage of our 14-day free trial. You'll get your daily NVIDIA, daily SPY, daily Triple Q, weekly Apple stock, S&P 500, NASDAQ 100, and 2 individual stock picks every week. I'll be back next week with another Mag 7 update. You have a great day.